Well, thanks, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and call us to order. Landon, will you please take the roll?
Sure. It's so weird being all of us together in this building right now, without masks too, right? Let's do some roll. John Adunco. Dave Bianchi.
I'm here.
All right, Dave. Debbie Beiersdorf.
Here.
Christine Brown Gallagher.
Present.
Present online. There we go. Joe Klein.
He's in the waiting room. He just texted me.
I don't see him. He must have the wrong week.
All right. Melissa Dedmond.
Yes, I'm here.
Mary Luz Garcia. Lauren Garfinkel.
Here.
Kendall Linskip.
Here.
Phil Kaiser.
Here.
Landon Miller here. Chris Morgan.
Yeah, virtually, spiritually, and emotionally with you.
Perfect. We love to see it. Charles Pacias. Here. Michelle Sanchez Bickley.
Here.
Eric Sheets. Dave Shintani.
Here.
Jill Tolles.
Here.
And Mary Luz Garcia.
Here.
Perfect.
Yes, timing is everything.
Timing is everything.
Thank you, Landon, and I concur. It is great to see everybody here and in person and without masks. And it is also my pleasure to welcome a couple of special guests today. We have some Board of Trustees members from District D. Beth Smith, welcome. And from my residential district, long-time compatriot here, Dr. Diane Nicolette. Welcome to the two of you, and I invite you. Is there anything you'd like to say to the group?
Yes, thank you. And it's District G for gigantic, because it is 50% of the district. So I am here today representing all 7 trustees to thank you, a heartfelt thank you for all that you have done, all that you are doing now, and all that we are certain you will do in the future. Because we know that Education Alliance is, they're one of those silent, phenomenal, innovative beasts that just keeps going and going and going, and even through COVID. And so I made myself some notes because there's so much to know about the work that you perform behind the scenes, in front of the community, and every day for so many people. Excuse me. Okay. So I read all the board member bios. Oh my gosh, this is like who's of the world. It was really very impressive. I had no idea. I've been aware of Ed Alliance for a very long time. Would you like to go?
Sure. No worries. So my name is Beth Smith. I am a new trustee from this past summer. I represent District D. And so that is the heart of Reno area, from the mall area all the way over to Bernice Matthews. And I am a huge fan of the Education Alliance, and I would like to tell you a little bit of a story about how your organization helped me find my way to this role. So in 2020, I saw the opportunity to apply for principal for a half day. I was volunteering with the district through the Zoning Advisory Committee, and I was very much interested in learning even more about what our principals do and how the district runs. And I was paired with the amazing Principal Christopher Kahn from Donner Springs Elementary. I saw amazing things that day. I got to see my very first restorative justice experience with students. I saw some of the strategies programs. I learned about something called Go Noodle that I did not actually know about. And I did some Go Noodle dancing. And it was truly phenomenal. It was really, really phenomenal. And it was another step for me in making the decision that I wanted to be more involved with public education in our county. So I wanted to share that story with you and let you know that this experience is one of the stepping stones on the path for me serving in this capacity. And I wanted to say thank you very much. And on that note, I will defer back to Vice President Nicolette and let her continue her overview of your bios.
Well, clearly you take my breath away. What can I say? And Landon, I watched the news very early this morning, and there will be no panicking, okay? No panicking. So the bios, yes. There were some key words that really rang true to me as a trustee, as a mom, as a grandma, as an educator. And these are all from the bios, and I'm not giving credit to anyone because you all deserve the same amount of wonderful credit. But the remarkable words: access, lifelong learners, fun, learning, empowerment, opportunity, public support for education is crucial, eye-opening experiences, inspiration, teachers remembering me, grateful for the confidence that teachers placed in me. And those are from your team. Those are comments that are from the statements, why I love education, why I'm in education, and why it's important. So we want to thank you for that, because it is that very passion, those words, that dedication that keeps you going and kept you going through COVID. I think we're all even kind of tired of talking about it and hear about it, but the fact remains, you guys continue, you wonderful people, continued to make great things happen behind the scenes when nobody even knew what you were doing. And that's seamless, and that's true love and dedication. And again, the Board of Trustees wants to thank you. Your mission, we would say, has been fulfilled on great measure because your partnerships in business and in the community for our students, our staff, our community in general, for I'm going to go as far as to say the state of Nevada, has been exemplary. And I don't know if you hear that enough. I know in your soul you feel good, but you need to hear that what you have done and continue to do is so important, and we need you every day. So I'm just going to do the strong list of 10 just because I want it on the record. Teachers Warehouse, supplies and materials. Healing through health, your newest passion that came at a time when we needed that mind and body connection. Partners in Education, which was established in 1988. Some of you weren't even born then. Well, maybe you were little. Run for Education, which I've participated in. Now, I didn't run because I don't run, but it's a wonderful, wonderful event that I see is on your agenda, and I'm excited to hear how you may discuss that. Principal for a Day, I did it when it was for a day, and the one recommendation that I would make to anybody who does this, even if it's half a day, is wear your comfortable shoes. Right on? Yeah, no heels, no pretty things. They've got to be comfortable. That includes the gentlemen, the ladies as well. The P16 Advocacy Council, Kids in Motion, the Redfield Community Outreach Data Profile, one of the more exciting things I think that happens that most people, go on the next one about Red for Education and Principal for a Day, because data and profile, not everybody's excited about that, but it's extremely important. And then the COVID stellar Distance Learning Laptop Drive. Oh my goodness. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Continue to do what you do because you do it so well and you do it with passion and love. Thank you.
That really means the world to all of us. Thank you both so very much.
Absolutely. I think we're all beaming right now and kind of
Yes.
feeling like the special students in the classroom. So, does anyone on the board have any questions for trustees? And again, we're so excited that you're here. Jill, please.
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to thank you for serving. And I know this has been a challenging time getting through COVID and through all that is facing us in our communities and the world today. And that you come with a deep, deep passion to serve students and the betterment of education in our community and for our future is amazing. I know how difficult it can be in public service these days. And I just want to, from one to another, thank you for your commitment, your sacrifice, your dedication, your willingness to keep doing it. We appreciate you.
Just one other thing too, we're here, our motto is timely and targeted, coined by, I think, Lauren or someone, but that's what we want to do. I think it was you, yeah. Right, but really, that's what we're here to do too, is to make sure that everything that we do is spot on as far as what the conditions are, whatever they are, we can work pretty quickly and move pretty quickly, and sometimes the district is a little bit slower. We call it a big ship with a little bitty rudder, but we're here to support everything, even if we have to kick behind us, behind the boat, whatever it is. And so know that we're here to support and welcome any conversations at any time.
Hey, Kendall, can you hear me? Kendall?
We can hear you, Chris. Go for it.
Okay. Yeah, shocking. I have a question. First off, though, just want to echo Jill's sentiment. Every time I read about a board meeting, I just think how thankful I am for you all and what you go through every time there is one. But you did mention a couple times that we were silent and quiet. And I'm just wondering, is that a problem? And should we do something about it?
Thank you. I had to be reminded. Did I say that? Silent. Oh, that's a really good question, Christopher. Silent. No, I would say you're seamless. If I were going to rephrase it, I would say you're seamless and you just go about your work and you make great things happen. From a silent standpoint, I think for the last couple years, many of the things the district does, including Education Alliance, has been a little silent just because of the time. And I personally look forward to the reawakening of Ed Alliance and all the wonderful things that happen. So I would say, let's not be silent. Let's brag and have fun and continue to do what we're doing.
I would like to add to that, Chris, as well, that I believe that the work that the Education Alliance is doing is really phenomenal. And one of the things that we talk about with the board and also with our communications team is making sure that we are more confident in the positive voice that we have out with the community. There are good stories. There are successes. There are always areas where we will improve and grow, but we should be telling those success stories. And I do believe that the work of the Education Alliance is some of that good storytelling that hopefully now we can broaden what all those narratives are and then focus a bit more on that. Even as Vice President Nicolette was talking about some of those things, one of the other programs you did that I loved when I was home on furlough during the pandemic was the laptop drive. And we actually, on our street, all got together, a bunch of families, and we went through and got all of our devices that we no longer needed, and we dropped them off at the drop-off location in Sparks, kind of near where Coconut Bowl is. Yes, I was excited to get out of the house that day, so I volunteered to drive the laptops there. But it was a great reminder of all the different programs that have happened. So I would say that I do hope and believe that there is a role in the expanding narrative as we talk more about the positiveness around education in our county. And I think that the stories from the Alliance can be a part of that.
Chris, you opened up this can of worms, so I'm gonna say a little more. Good job on you. You know, we're going to have the opportunity with a new superintendent to I would say, take what's already happening, so many wonderful things, and take it to the next level. And as we move forward with interviews and everything that's going to surround our search, we know that there are so many wonderful things happening, and the reference to Education Alliance is going to definitely be one of those, because again, it is exemplary in how you have brought yourselves together and the community together to support the work of our schools. And it's, well, I personally wouldn't want to do it without you. You are a gift to our most precious gifts, our children.
Thank you both.
Enjoy, continue the work.
All right.
We love you.
Thank you, Beth, Diane. Certainly appreciate you being here. And if you haven't had your fill of board meetings, you are certainly welcome to stay as we proceed through the agenda.
Exactly. We also have the great honor of KTVN 2 News, our media sponsor, of doing another 30-minute television special on our Partners in Education Pie Champions. And so as soon as that is aired or is coming out, we will definitely let you know.
I love that event. Thank you.
Thank you
so
both.
much.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Stay healthy and happy.
We will. Thanks for coming.
All right, we'll go ahead and proceed with the agenda. Approval of the minutes from the January 24th board meeting. The minutes were distributed prior to today's meeting. Is there a motion on the table to adopt?
I'll move, we approve the minutes as presented.
Any second?
I'll second.
We have Dave and Lauren tag teaming on the mic there, first and second. Any comments or discussion? Do we have any public comment?
Can I interrupt? I know that, Landon, we wanted to recognize that Eric Sheets joined us, just for the record, so that when he votes, it's on the record.
Yeah, it's been noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, we have a motion on the table and a second. No further discussion. We'll go ahead and take the vote. All in favor of approving the January 24th minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions? All right, motion passes. We'll go to our next item here. I have the pleasure, again, of welcoming and introducing not a special guest, but soon to be a special member of our Education Alliance, Michelle Anderson. She is the Washoe County School District Chief Communications and Community Engagement Officer. Michelle and I, for those of you who don't know, started out as Dodson Grizzlies, proceeded through Vaughn Eagles, and on through Wooster Colts together. So,
cool.
We've both come full circle, I guess, in education. So Michelle, welcome so much. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey here?
Well, thank you so much. It's a pleasure seeing all of you in person. I know many faces over the years. Again, Michelle Anderson. I have the longest title in the school district, Chief Communications and Community Engagement Officer. I've been back, I guess it's been a year now to the school district. So as Melissa mentioned, born and raised here, worked for the city of Reno and so many of you will maybe remember me from that. I was there for 12 years, handled the air race crash, the first Collin fire, the Washoe fire, and probably any large major disaster that happened during that point in time. I moved away for a couple years, went to Spokane, Washington, and was in charge of public safety up there for communications, and then went to Phoenix, Arizona. Life had me go there, and I was a communications director for a smaller school district down there, which I loved. And then the opportunity to come back here presented itself. And so I'm so happy to be home at the district that I absolutely love because, again, came from here. And as Kendall knows, I've been following the Education Alliance since I left Reno, and I've always been an advocate of what the work you guys do. So I'm excited. Big shoes to fill with Debbie's retirement. I'm still not talking to her because of that. I think she should stay here forever. But I'm excited to be able to be a part of it. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Well, we're excited to welcome you. Of course, not excited to let Debbie go, but excited to welcome you to the family.
So it's such an honor to be working with you even closer than ever, Michelle. And your official date, July 1, we've already had an orientation to kind of fill your head with all kind of good stuff and probably stuff you didn't want to know, but maybe you did. And, the way this group operates is we're family. We support each other in what we do, and it's reciprocal, and that's how our Partners in Ed has always been. It's reciprocal. You win personally, professionally. It's something. It's a give and take. So I'm just super excited that we'll have the chance to support you in your role as well.
Thank you so much. And I know over the years, communications and the Ed Alliance have worked tightly together. You guys all know Jeff Foss and the videos he's been doing, so I think this will even bring us closer together. So excited.
May I add just one further comment, Chair? Michelle is amazing, and her skill set and the connection she has and the work she does and her positive attitude and spirit will certainly bode very well in her work with Education Alliance. But we wanted to make sure, both Kristen and I, Dr. McNeil and I, that Education Alliance was taken care of as we left and was going to be put in good hands. So the decision, one of the only reorganization decisions that Dr. McNeil will be making before she leaves, if not the only one, perhaps, was this one. To move Education Alliance under our communications and community engagement office. So you will do. She will do amazing things. She's awesome. She's just amazing. So responsive, and she'll keep Kendall on the keep her eyes on Kendall. Yeah, right. So congratulations.
All right. Any other? Oh no, not yet, Michelle. Any other questions, comments for our new member?
I'm not leaving. I'm going to stay for the meeting.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you so much.
This is way easier than tomorrow's board meeting is going to go.
Yes,
That's all I have to say.
We're a pretty low-key happy group here, so excited to welcome you.
Stay here too, Michelle, if you want to stay close. No, okay.
Oh, she's ditching that microphone. All right, our next item here, presentation, discussion, and update on the 2022 Partner in Ed Pie Champion awardees and Pie Champion Awards television special. Kendall, take it away.
Oh my gosh, this is so very much fun. First of all, I want to congratulate Dave Bianchi for being the first Brent Boynton Partner in Ed Pie Champion Lifetime Achievement Award. I can't think of a more deserving person than Dave, because I mean, he pretty much is a founding member of some very large organizations here in town, the Boys and Girls Club Truckee Meadow, KMPB, PBS Reno, also a founding or an instrumental leader at Keep Truckee Meadows Beautiful, as well as, I'm missing one, very active on Rotary, and just so many ways that you've helped with the JCs and some of the early organizations of the city and the charitable activities and philanthropic activities. And not only that, you're just the nicest, most wonderful person I really know. And so being there when Zach interviewed you and Lois, and his daughter Leah Anderson is the principal at Huffacre, I had to not cry as much as possible. I'm so emotional lately. I don't know what it is. Maybe because I'm going to be a grandmother. I don't know. But anyway, Dave, I just want to thank you for your service and your leadership on this board. You've taken us to such great heights, really.
Well, thank to all of you, and I'm rather humbled, and this all the things you mentioned make me feel really old. You know, there's been so many great people that have been involved with this organization and supporting education in the past, and so to be designated as the first one for my friend Brent Boynton was really special. So I really appreciate all of that. So thank you.
Congratulations again. And we have the other award winners, which we are interviewing this month. We've already interviewed Microsoft Reno for the Pi Champion Special. Shields, Rayleigh's is going to be interviewed early May. And Hunt & Sons is yet to be interviewed for the Pi Champion Special as well. All longtime loyal partners to the Ed Alliance and to schools. And all that stuff is happening now. I also want to say I'm so grateful to KTVN 2 News, but especially you, Landon, because you came up with the idea and the opportunity, and we approached KTVN, and now, second year in a row, what charity gets a 30-minute television special that runs all year and raises our awareness, the highlights what we do. I mean, I think it's really broadened our donor base and our friend base, and I understand from our contact that they're willing to do that pretty much every year. So, and it lives forever on their webpage. So thank you for that, Landon. I love that. And that was long before you were even there. So we are also in the process of interviewing the dignitaries and past Pi champions. And then in April, we'll work on the WCSD leadership and the principals who are also Pi champions, because it takes two to be a good partner. So that'll happen in April, and that'll be by Jeff Voss and also likely Channel 2. So that's my update on the Pi Champion Award special.
All right. Any questions for Kendall?
May I ask a follow-up?
Yes.
So do you have any timelines of when it might air then?
That was my question.
Oh, okay.
Well done.
There you
No,
go.
that's great.
Great minds think alike.
Great question. So we've been told late April, early May.
Okay.
And then based on kind of some of our discussion that we might have here today, they're flexible. KTVN is not under any binding timeline at all as far as air dates. So I don't have an exact answer, but I think all the interviews will be complete and all the editing will be done by probably late April.
Any other questions? Well, exciting. Thank you, Kendall, for that update. We'll go ahead and go on to the next item here, presentation, discussion, and update on the distribution of the funding raised for the Healing Through Health initiative for elementary schools' need for student physical, nutritional, and social and emotional health support. So I'm really excited to be discussing this today, because I know we've heard so much about Healing Through Health in terms of organizing the event, hosting the event, trying to distribute the funds in the best way for the event, and now we get to see kind of the fruits of all this labor. So, Brittany or Kendall, either.
I'd like a show of hands of who can make Wednesday's celebration. Jill, awesome. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Because we're going to have about 30 donors, sponsors, WCSD leaders, as well as the principal, Amanda McWilliams, and her choir. The children will be singing. And I am just so excited that we get to show, we get to see, and you're all donors too. And you get to see the beneficiaries and the kids who we worked hard to bring this funding to. So we're awarding, we have awarded 64 elementary schools a total of $102,400, $1,600 each. It's in their hand. We sent it on March 4th. So this is an opportunity, and I need your help thanking our donors, thanking each other, because I think a lot. We're going to have a brief little program in the multipurpose room. Nevada State Superintendent Joan Ebert's going to be there. She loves to come to our events. She did principal for a half day, if you recall, in 2020. And this is the kind of event that we're really honored that someone statewide will come and attend. We also have Microsoft Reno, Shields. We have, help me, Brittany, I didn't bring the list. It's a list of almost all of our donors for Healing Through Health, which again, have been donors that we've built the trust, we've built our relationships with, and whether it was the run or laptops, and now Healing Through Health, they are still supporting us loyally. Next up is a wonderful graph that Brittany put together, and it is a graph of the applications. If you can enlarge it a little bit, this is the principals applying for Healing Through Health funding, what they applied for. So you can see the 36% is PE, and then there's a combination of a couple of things, physical education and the mental health resources, 22%, and then that's the light blue on the left, and then the dark blue on the right is physical education, nutritional, and mental health resources, and then the smaller squares are just mental health resources at 11%. But you can see there's a widespread, and basically 44% still need and even though they combine it with nutrition and mental health resources, still need that PE, still need the outdoor activities or the physical activities, but also they added the mental health. So I think this is kind of an interesting story about elementary school principals and their needs. Because last spring at this time, as you recall, we interviewed several principals. Trish Schaefer, who will also be there, she's the head of MTSS, Social Emotional Learning for the district. She'll be there on Wednesday. And Catherine Loudon, director or coordinator for counseling, will be there as well. And taking all that information and putting it together and then launching Healing Through Health, which again is aligned with Kids in Motion, PE, nutrition education, but then adding that mental health. Clearly the principals have that need and applied for that. So we did a really easy application, non-competitive, and then June 7th, I think is almost the last day of school, is the deadline for them to report on how exactly they spent the money, so that we can then go back to our donors and let you know how they spent it exactly. But I just want to extend a huge thanks to all of you for supporting it. You all had your hand in it and helped us launch it. Love the event. And anything else, Brittany, that you can think of that I might not have discussed about? Oh, yeah, oops. Yes, Channel 2 will be there. I'd be happy to send you a list of the attendees if you're so inclined to want to know that information. We're excited about having the representation of our donors and supporters and partners. And it's kind of cool because they get to see their beneficiaries as well.
If there's not going to be name tags, a list might be handy.
Do you think we should do name tags? Tell me what you think.
Well, it's just that I run into people and I can't remember their names.
I mean, I know it's a lot of work, but we would do it in a heartbeat if it helped all of us to think. I know them like they're my BFFs, but you guys, Panasonic, Renown, I mean, buying tickets, buying extra tickets, but UNR and WA just being these amazing partners. So what do you guys think? Should we do them? Kathleen's like kicking the shin. Shall we do it? All right, we'll do name tags. And I'll send the list out too. But thank you for being ambassadors on that day as well. That's my report.
Well, I look forward to seeing those of you who can attend there Wednesday morning. We'll go ahead to item 205, presentation, discussion, and possible action on the Run for Education and evolution of the Ed Alliance's fundraising initiatives and events such as Distant Learning Laptop Drive and Healing Through Health. So this one will be for possible action. Basically, we know we've been without the Run for Education for a couple of years now due to COVID. And we've kind of shifted our attention to, again, those timely and targeted needs of the district through the laptop drive, through Healing Through Health. I think we've learned a lot from those initiatives. Learned a lot about additional ways that we can support the district, besides our very traditional run-through education. And so that kind of begged the conversation of, what do we look like going forward in terms of our signature fundraising event? And so I know Kendall and Brittany have done a lot of preliminary work and just kind of fact-finding, kind of comparing the pros and cons, if you will, for doing the Run for Education versus what we have learned and were able to accomplish from our recent events. And so we wanted to hold this discussion going forward as to how best to proceed given what we've learned. So Kendall, you want to go ahead and kind of present some of those findings, and then we do want to hear from the board, on what you all feel should be our course of action going forward.
Thanks, Melissa. Yes, I want a robust discussion. I don't want anybody shy. You can even talk and fumble at the red light if you need to, but I want to hear from each and every one of you. We went on a fact-finding mission, as we did last spring, with principals, with run coordinators, with district leadership, district departments, to find out, what the load might be on with regard to our event, our signature event. And so what we did was we put together an objective review of the facts, kind of the numbers over the years. And here is this document here is just 5 bullets. And it really is, we put the mission at the top, our beautiful new mission, which is uniting our community to illuminate and clear pathways for every Washoe County student's brightest future. And we have a 7-page list of all the impacts and the challenges. But what we did was kind of encapsulated them into these 5 bullets. So I'd like to just kind of look at them. They're the summary of the key reasons that we may look to other fundraising opportunities. And I thought that going through each one of them, please, I'd love you to step in, lean in, and kind of make your comments and so forth. So these are some of the things that we learned on our fact-finding mission. We put resources were more efficiently secured and equitably distributed to schools, and that is represented by the distance learning laptop drive, where the district guided us to what schools needed laptops, which students had the highest need, in addition to the Healing Through Health. We served 64 elementary schools. We simplified the application process, whereas with the run, we have an average awarded to 50 schools, and they had to bring at least 20 paid registrations. So there's 65 elementary schools, I believe, in the district, and we awarded them to 64 elementary schools, which is rather significant. We have a concern on whether our in-kind vendors and sponsors, if you recall in 2019, and if I say last year, it's just because, I lost 2 years, we had $83,000 plus in-kind donations that helped us put on the run. Stages, food, signage, so many other things that to the tune of $83,000, that if we had to duplicate that, and if those event planners and event kind of vendors were not able to provide those resources in that in-kind, we couldn't do it. It would be too much money to host the run. I'm going to stop just for a second and ask for.
May I ask a question? Yes, just for clarification. So when we do the Run for Education, and I've been on the board, I think, for 2 of them. So if $1,600 were been going to an individual school based on Healing Through Health, what is the difference with the Run for Education in terms of where that money has gone to? So like on average with the Run for Education, how much money does a school receive? That's my question.
Great question. $2,000 is kind of the bar that we set for every eligible school that brought 20 or more paid students. And we pay for the run with registrations. So we're not dipping into any, when we sell a sponsorship for the run, that funding goes right back to the schools.
Okay.
So, yes.
So I did find it interesting when we looked at the pie chart and we saw the percentage of dollars that were being used for physical education. Do we think that that's because we haven't been able to give money through hosting Run for Education in the last 2 years, that's why that was being used in such a large percentage for physical education? And if we bring back Run for Education, we continue the healing initiative, we'll see that separate back out again, where then it will primarily be used for social emotional learning and mental health, and then Run for Education will then backfill again on physical education. Has anyone done that analysis?
When we talked to a couple of the schools actually said that they did not need to use their funding from the run for outdoor activities. Now remember, elementary schools were still in session, but there were such high requirements as far as the mask, and then we had the smoke, and we had several things. So let me just make sure I understand what you're saying. You're asking if schools still need the funding for PE? Is that what you're saying? Or tell me exactly what you mean.
Sure. I just mean that I'm curious to see what the impact would be on the and I'm going blank on what our other initiative is that we're celebrating on Wednesday.
Healing Through Health.
Healing Through Health. Thank you. I just went straight out of my head. So we had a gap in what we were able to supplement for PE because we weren't holding the Run for Education for 2 years. And so then we had the Healing Through Health initiative that could be used for physical education and mental health. I was a little surprised to see what a large percentage was used for physical education on that pie chart. So I'm wondering if what we'll see, and I know we're looking into a crystal ball here a little bit, but if we bring back the Run for Education, then we'll be able to, going forward, keep adding additional funding for physical education, and that frees up those principals to take the Healing for Health and use it solely for mental health services and social emotional learning, because we will have had physical education, back up to the level of funding that we've been able to maintain up until the gap of the last 2 years.
Well, and I think it's certainly possible, because we hosted Healing Through Health without the run, without the work that goes into the run, to raise the funding for, and if that's the need, again, being timely and targeted, making sure, what is it the need is? Is physical education still the need, and nutrition and the mental health resources? We would ask, what is it that, what is it? But the question here is this the most efficient way to raise that funding, to secure that funding, and the most efficient way of our time and our usage? Let's face it, we raised $680,000 for laptops in 10 months. We raised $102,400 for the Healing Through Health, which is exactly what the run raises money for, in about 3 to 5 months, without doing the logistics of the run itself. It kind of puts what we raised for the run to shame in a way, because we've averaged about $99,000 a year raised for the run for schools, and it goes to fewer schools, 50 schools. So then we were able to serve 64 schools with the Healing Through Health. So what we're looking at here is, and we'll continue down this bulleted, is really, is this the most, are we maximizing our energy and our activities to really supporting the what we support is, again, going to be what the principals and what the school district and what the needs are within the schools. We won't turn away from that, of course. And if it is PE, then then perhaps, and that's what the Healing Through Health was for, physical education, pretty much the same thing as Kids in Motion, or the run funding, but we added that mental health component. Did I talk in circles now?
I just wanted to make one point too with this chart. So yeah, the PE is at 36%, but if you see the light blue and the dark blue, that's actually 44% with the combined options of categories. So I think they want all of it, really, not just one necessarily. They're seeing a variety of need at the schools.
Thank you. So I hear you saying essentially we're running a cost benefit analysis of whether or not this is worth the effort. And I suppose my question would be, in addition to that, not just what we're getting from a funding standpoint, but also what we're getting from a modeling healthy behavior to all those kids who are running, from a parental engagement aspect to coming to an event like that with all the different schools in the district. I don't know if we have anything else quite like it, where you have parents and kids coming together with the community to see representation from all the schools across our district. So I think I would just add that that would be part of the cost benefit analysis, the oodles, if you will.
Thank you. Absolutely.
I was going to kind of say what Jill did to a degree, that I know it takes a ton of effort and time, but when we know we want to try to get more positive things out for the school district in general, and to me, that is the only one I know of where everyone comes together. And after 2 years of crazy, that might be a really good opportunity, even though I know it's a lot of work. That said, the other thing is, Healing Through Health, it sounds like you could do a lot more quicker to get the money. But I also just wonder, were you able to do that because of COVID, and the generosity that came was because of that, versus is that same amount sustainable during normal times without some other momentum?
Understood. Yeah. Good points. Very good points. I'm just going to move through some of the additional bullets here, and then we can continue our discussion. So we've also put, the elephant in the room, the bus driver and teacher shortages. We know that adding more to educator plates, because we rely on educators in schools to rally their students, and we know that we had about over 3,000 runners in 19, 2,800 of them are students. So I would imagine that remaining 1,000 or so are parents and grandparents. So this is truly a family engagement event. It is it's a school and community. It's when we say community engagement activity, really it's school community engagement. It's about schools and teachers and families. Okay, so keep that in mind. We also know is that for 5 full months, from July to November, the team of 2.5 that we have work solely on that activity. The lift, really we should congratulate ourselves. We've built this event into this wonderful activity that really needs a bigger team to put on. It absolutely does. And to do it right, and do we hit the ground running? Do we put the work in? Are we dusty, dirty, exhausted? Yes. And we do it, and we've built it, and we should thank ourselves for building it to such a great event. But it is labor intensive, and it's time intensive. And as Brittany reported at I believe it was at our January board meeting, that there were activities through the Partner in Ed program to the tune of about $500,000 to schools, mostly cash, that we could not facilitate during that time. So it really is kind of an event coordination that takes all hands on deck. And then it goes right back to that final one, which is it's beneficiary centric. We put on an event for kids. It's not for families. I mean, it's for families, but it's not for donors. It's really for the children in the schools and the teachers. It's not a traditional fundraiser like we did at Sparks Water Bar. So is that our role? Is that, there is a full-on department in the school district. It's called the Family School Partnerships Department. And that's what they do. They have many things. Their plates are full as well. So with those kinds of thoughts, I want to open it up for discussion. I would like you to consider the amount of time that you all put into it as well, because it would take a team of all of us to put that on, really. And I know that many of you really do a lot of work now. Melissa may have some comments, because when she was at registration 2 years ago or 3 years ago, the first thing she said was, "What just happened?" So I want you all to weigh in. It's super important. I think it's critical that maybe we're going through an evolution because of the things that we've done, even though COVID forced us to do certain things, laptop drives and still raise money for PE that's totally needed in elementary schools, maybe we need a change.
It seems to me that from all the comments, that the run was an outstanding public relations program that brought all kinds of people together, and so that's the real positive of it. The negative is the time consumption that it takes to put that on, and the results of the monetary results are not as positive as they ought to be. So it's really going to take some hard thinking and brainstorming to come up with ideas on how we can accomplish both those worlds, accomplish something where we can raise money as well as have good public relation connection throughout the community. So I would recommend that we have some sort of retreat or something where we can all gather as a board and invite some of the folks who are affected by our recipients or sponsors, and bring some of those folks in as well if they would come, and have a brainstorming session and really try to work through this and come up with some ideas that would benefit the kids in the school system. So that would be my recommendation.
Yes, you said the word evolution, Kendall, and it triggered something for me. So I think when I started with P16, it was about 2004 when Denise Hedrick was running. And at the time, the Run for Education, if I remember correctly, there was these half sheets with the amount of gold. They were gold sheets. And I believe at the time we used them for 50% off of summer tuition fees. So instead of paying $200 for a summer class, a student who was eligible could fill that out and get 100% or 50% off, knocked off their course. After that, I can't remember if it went straight from the course. What has been the evolution? Because if we're talking about taking next steps and possibly redefining this event, we've already redefined it. And so I was hoping you can kind of walk us through.
History, it's important to help us move forward. That's a great place to start. So it started about 15 years ago, but the first 8 years, Yamana Gold, Meridian Gold, and their company put the whole thing on. Ed Alliance, the district, they put it on for kids. I don't know how they did registrations. I know it was all paper. It was all registrations were paper. And then that was the first 8 years, and then proceeds went to the Ed Alliance to go to the schools. Then for the following 3 years, Reno Orthopedic Clinic, they didn't do it one of the middle years, but they did it these 2 years, and their entire company, again, put the whole run on, all paper, 10 people for 10 hours, 10 days, typing in name, shirt size, blah, blah, blah. And again, monies went to, I think, a couple of different programs, including Passport program, which went to Dean's Future Scholars and some of the others. And then the final year before I arrived in July of 14, so that would have been July of 2013. Ed Alliance put it on. They had probably about 4 to 5 more people on staff than we do now. They probably had 8 to 11 people who put it on. And Dave, you were there during the discussion in May of 2014 that said, this is too big for us to put on the staff. And then we had a retire, we had the executive director before me, put it on and said it was too much. And her words were, it broke me. Okay, so then I come along and I say, yes, I will do it. They asked me, I would like you, Brittany, to put up the summary that we've done of what I did was put together, and it's so much numbers, but it's over the time from 13 all the way up to 19. It's how much was raised in sponsorships, donations, registration fees, how many schools participated, how many runners we had, and it's been declining. Number of runners have been declining, number of sponsors have been declining, amount raised has been declining, but we've built it. I think 2017 was one of the biggest years. Was it 17? Was our biggest fundraising. So roll it down just a little bit to go down to show the amount that we gave to schools. And again, we've built this program up to a big program. There's no question about that. But again, the amount going to schools, we raised 104.5 for the Healing Through Health, and in 19 and gave that all to schools. We gave 105,000 back to schools.
Including prizes, which actually is from a different pot.
Oh, that's right. It does include prizes. Also, the other thing is we average around 19 buses every year so there's no barriers for families to get there. So, and you know what the state of the bus situation is right now. And I worked very, very hard. I mean, I had 4 months to put the run on. And I think WEA had the sponsorship, and Channel 2 was all we had. And when I say yes to something, I make sure. I mean, I'm really, really a bulldog, as some, and to make sure it's successful. It's important to make it, successful. But over the years, we've grown it. In fact, instead of paper registrations, we now have the Infinite Campus. Every teacher, which is a school run coordinator, keys in that student's name, their t-shirt size, whether they paid or they need a scholarship. And so we'd be leaning heavily again. And the outcomes of our teacher interviews in the last 2 months is that maybe wait 1 more year. But the point is that it's a big event, it's a heavy lift, and we've just learned some things, like Melissa said. Can we raise as much money for the same purpose, plus we added on mental health resources, in a more timely and efficient way, utilizing the resources that we have? We've built the trust and gained the trust of I think it's a good point, what you said, Michelle, about sponsors. It's been urgent. The need is urgent. And so they've switched with us. They've shifted with us. But I think that whatever we tell them after fact finding from the school district is the greatest need, I think our donors and supporters will hang in there with us. They will stay with us. Just, I honest to goodness, don't think a lot of donors come to the run. They don't. It's teachers and kids and families. We have dignitaries. We have great mascots. It's such a feel-good feeling. I get emotional thinking about it, but it's a huge lift. And we raised as much, if not more.
Yeah, I just want to tag on to what you were saying about our sponsors and donors. And that, yes, I think to Michelle's point, some of it was this, COVID and we need to respond. But, the mental health piece was new. And we've talked about tangible items are really what people go towards. And I think with Healing Through Health, because it was only, we got the sponsors for that event very quickly. Very, very quickly, like a month, I think, for most of them. Because we didn't even know if that restaurant was going to be open. And yes, it was a worthy cause, but I think it's the power of our relationships with our sponsors and donors that really drove that home so quickly. So anything we do, I think, because of those relationships will be successful. If we say, hey, this is what's most important right now, they trust us.
So I want to tag on to what Jill said as well. I think it's critical, that PR component that we have with the community and working with, all the great partnerships that we have, right? With that, I do also acknowledge that if we're just logistically talking about April, May, and we're asking the teachers to jump on stuff and do things right now, that's tight. Like, I think this year's a no-brainer. We've got to figure something that makes sense for this year for sure. I also really like what Dave said, get together, talk about some things. I would let Chris say this. He texted me, said he had to MC a meeting with Korea, so I think he's busy right now. But anyway, he's been a proponent of doing some award type program for academic, students that are doing amazing in various fields, right? That could be something. We could bring in partners that then connect with these students that are doing awesome in, with the culinary group, or with, there's a programming class. There's something that just people are just rocking it, and we can highlight all these great things that the school district's doing. We can also integrate that with UNR and TMCC in ways, right? Again, there's so many opportunities, but I am hearing, there is a large lift there, but we have to make sure whatever we choose, we continue with the PR portion and continue building the partnerships. But if we can get, Water Bar going, and we were kind of uncertain it was going to be open, honestly. And do we sign up everything? Are we actually having this date? Yeah. And you guys still did it, and so good job with that. So I do have confidence you guys will do great. But it's going to be tough this year, I think, to continue to do this. So with that, I'm up for making a motion if we're ready for it, but are we ready for that?
I love where you're going to, Eric, with that. I wanted to also say we have a flagship program called Partners in Education. We have started in 2008 the Partner in Education Pie Champion Awards. I think there's great opportunities with that, and a lot of people have actually indicated their interest in, why don't you do something for Partners in Ed, around Partners in Ed, and increase the number of Partners in Education for schools so that it helps instantly, whether they're a mom and pop organization that can only show the back of their small restaurant or their food truck to students, to the Panasonics and Renowns and large organizations that do a lot more, that can do a lot more. And I believe that flagship program is another opportunity for us to have a signature activity around that fundraiser and so forth.
Eric, if you don't mind, before a motion, I just want to give our board members who are joining us via Teams an opportunity to weigh in. I just don't want to leave them out. Christine or Joe, if anyone wants to weigh in, we certainly would love your comments and thoughts.
Thank you. I would love to chime in. It's really difficult for me to hear this feedback from teachers and principals saying that they are strapped thin and stretched thin and don't feel they have the capacity to partner with us to put on the run. I think that for me answers so many questions. It doesn't mean that the run is gone forever, but perhaps one more year. We may have to wait one more year in order to make it a reality again. But I love Kendall's point about expanding Partners in Ed to include a component that fulfills our mission in a really explicit way by, allowing local businesses, organizations, nonprofits, the opportunity to open their doors to kids, not just to provide financially for schools, but also to provide a window into the pathways that they could experience for their brightest futures, and to illuminate those pathways with a little bit more intention. I think we're onto something there, and I would love to see more discussion around that.
Can you all hear me? I don't know if I'm audible or not.
We can hear you, Joe. Thanks.
I don't know I have anything profound to add to the conversation. I will mention that perhaps someone said partnerships with TMCC and UNR. There are student organizations that are trying to focus more on community engagement. ASUN at UNR has been trying to push their community engagement. That might be a resource for person power to help support the run or some other event like this that we're talking about. And I'll also tag on to Chris Morgan's interest in supporting alternatives to the focus on athletics, recognition for athletics. And so, targeting and critical, more academically oriented benefactors of an event, like the signature academies or some of the tech programs that we have in Washoe County School District might be ideas of benefactors to target. So.
Anyone else joining us virtually who'd like to weigh in, or anyone here from the board? Phil, please.
Thank you, Debbie. I know. Just to echo some of the other points that have been made, it seems to me there are two main elements to it. One's the fundraising part, which I think that can probably be made up in other ways. The other is the social engagement part with the kids, which I think has really been a positive thing. I mean, I run, and I use that term loosely, in a lot of these events, which means all of them. I think it's a great event. The kids come, they love it. But it always bugged me, because I was a high school teacher, that none of the money came to high schools. Hardly anything went to middle schools. Now, I know that there's a bigger budget for PE and stuff. There's a reason behind why it went where it went. And I think that there's an opportunity there with the partners in ed to provide more school-specific support. And there's a huge range from schools that don't have active partners to schools that have lots of active partners for a variety of reasons, right? Maybe they have kids at the school, the businessmen have kids at the school, a whole series of things. And it might provide more time for the Ed Alliance staff to develop the partners in ed if they weren't focused on the run to the extent that they have to be focused on the run. There are also other, I think, avenues to pursue as far as the run goes, because it's been at Shields, and if you've participated or watched, you see the route that goes across the road, and you have to have the cops stop the traffic, and you go through the warehouses, and you come around, and it's like, okay, that's not a good run, right? Just not a good run, right? We have this new high school that's going to open, which would be a great venue for a run, a beautiful track and the mountains nearby, the whole series of things. Like, if you're going to have a run and have participation among students and families and stuff, have a nice place, have a nice location that might fulfill that sort of community outreach element to it. So I think that there's some real opportunities in that regard, and I think there's some real opportunities to develop the Partners in Ed program, because, as I said, there's a huge range in participation among the partners. And I think they have to, I mean, we know the last couple of years have been really hard. A number of businesses went away, didn't come back. We also have new businesses that have opened up. And I think the ability of the Ed Alliance staff, because if they didn't have this heavy lift, their ability to reach out to new businesses and new partners to focus on the schools, I think would be a tremendous opportunity. Thanks.
Any other discussion? Yeah. Charles, please.
There we go. So I'm going to focus on the number, 2,600. So if you look at that chart up there, we averaged about 2,600 students that we reached between the years of 2013, 2019. I don't think you can look away from that. That's direct involvement with the students. So I'm not saying, yeah, we should do it, yeah, we shouldn't do it. I'm not saying anything like that. It's just the community engagement is there, where we have these other great programs. This one reaches those students kind of directly. I mean, they come away with their shirt. I mean, even the logo has kids on it and everything. I would hope that we could do it in some way, shape, or form if we could. It's speaking only from myself. It's not too much to ask.
It does pull on my heartstrings too. I mean, this event was the first run my kids did, my own 2 children, and I have this vivid picture in my head of how tiny they were and how big the medals were that they were holding up, and their T-shirts they were drowning in. And so, as a mom, it's just one of the only opportunities in town that you can engage your little ones in something healthy and active, and that's really important to me, role modeling healthy behaviors to them. However, as a board member, knowing how important our looking at our assets are, I consider the staff of EA assets, and we need to take care of our assets and understand what a tremendous amount of work this is. And we've asked a lot of you over the years since you took on the role as ED, and you've done it so beautifully. But is it sustainable? Do the numbers make sense? Are we treating our staff with the love and respect that we want so we can keep moving forward? And honestly, Kendall, your magic is connections, is relationship building, and your ability to raise dollars efficiently behind the scenes is just amazing. So I think about you as a staff, taking care of our staff, but also the efficiency side. The numbers are declining, all those things. Even though it pulls on my mama heartstrings, I think to me, it makes sense to evolve.
Thank you, Marluz. I appreciate that very much.
I'll bite. So I kind of going like, I get very quiet when I think, you know this. So have you ever, outside of Shields, is there any other location or the marina that have you looked at that previously? Like before anything, is there a reason why it's always there? Like has Grand Sierra been explored, for example? Just tossing it out.
When we realized it was not safe on the streets, we had to look at that really hard with the race company. We looked at it when it was smaller. It was at Damani Ranch High School in their parking lot. We looked at, John Slaughter used to sit on this board. We talked about perhaps up at Rancho San Rafael. It just grew too big for certain places. Now, I think in 2019, having Desert Sky Adventures, rerouting, we dropped the 10K. We kept it at I think it was a 4K, which only went on the streets from like the outside of the mall down to where they could get back around the marina. And we had Washoe County Sheriff's Office CERT team manning it, and they do an incredible work doing things like Hot August Nights and the balloon races and so forth. So they made sure that it was safe on those roads. But that was definitely consideration. It was relocation for sure, or not having the long runs. It's clearly not a professional runner's event. It really isn't. The adults and the people that signed up were less than 200. Mm-hmm. So, well, no, I mean, as far as like the run community. Oh boy, I just put my foot in my mouth. I'm sorry, Phil.
Phil, no, she's not.
She's not. I know. No, honest to goodness, the run community of the marathoners, I should say. I don't know what you do, Phil. I can't make up for it now. I'm way in too deep.
Well, the reason I brought that up is because when I spent, half of a decade at Grand Sierra as well, and we hosted runs all the time. Like Moms on the Run was a big one there. There was a few others that it's been a long time. But I mean, if you think about it, it's on a Sunday or a Saturday from 8 to noon or 7 to 11, whatever that is. Well, so for cleanup and everything else.
Some
but
of us show up at 4.
Well, I'm saying like the run where people are there, but like the event itself, from setup, long story short, the hotel, they've done it before with runs that are on pretty decent size. Now this goes, if we decide to shelf this year and maybe put back next year, if it might be an opportunity to kind of maybe rebuild that momentum somewhere else with Grand Sierra, who's already a partner. They've been an active and even a larger partner for Ed Alliance in the last couple of years as well. So it'd be worth a conversation, in keeping opinions of keeping the run and keeping it off just in mind of maybe, if not Shields, if not for this budget, if not for time, is there another kind of an alternative that we could still do? Because GSR, I remember they put everything on, and it was the interest of obviously the nonprofit or the run or whatever, but also because it was a huge opportunity for Grand Sierra to get in front of the community. So it's very mutually beneficial. And I know for a fact, Mr. Morello has been wanting, since the pandemic's kind of lessening up, to become more ingrained in the community. So I wouldn't mind taking on that challenge and going to him directly with my relationship, and Andrew Diss as well, just to see what that can look like in terms of the space, the time, the resources they could even possibly donate to that. Because again, and that's to say this year, I think there's a lot of other opportunities, and then to rebuild that momentum and the uncertainty that what if variant 2740D shows back up. Sorry, I don't mean it, but you never know. But, there's also the levels of uncertainty too, which is what we discussed last year, that we could plan and use all of our time and resources, and then all of a sudden something else comes back. And then all of that is for what? So there's a lot of that uncertainty too. And I always play devil's advocate, and I'm sorry, but you have to see the both sides. And if there are other opinions of let's keep the race, let's not kind of find okay, well, we try to look for alternatives. We try to do this. Maybe Shields is too big. Maybe we have to kind of narrow that down, and then we can focus on students. But then comes the thing, well, what about the buses? What about this? So it's still a lot of moving parts, but I do think instead of just shutting it down completely, at least explore maybe a different option and what that can look like and something like that. So I'll volunteer to at least try to do that legwork and see what that could be like. And then also October, not a busy season besides the chili cook-off for Grand Sierra. So it could be something. So just another idea in the ring.
I like the ideas, and I like where you were going too, because I've always thought, hey, we've worked so hard to build this brand, this run for education that people know about. They don't know that Ed Alliance puts it on. They think maybe the district puts it on, or, they don't really know. But so what if maybe there's another company or someone who might want to, and I don't know if this is the right word, but might want to take it on with the benefit, with us, letting them have the run, and then a portion of the proceeds come through Ed Alliance to the schools. A company or an organization that has the human resources to put it on.
Well, here's the method to the madness too. Also working from Grand Sierra. They're going to get thousands of people on their property, including kids. They have all the kids' amenities there too, right? And during an off season. So it's almost advantageous for them to be like, hey, we're going to get all these people here, get meetup. They're also a partner in education. So it's an opportunity for them to be like, hey, we're going to do this. And there's so many benefits to them. And then, of course, what we're trying to do as well. So like I said, it would be absolutely worth it to explore that and just see what that can look like. Because they also have an entire team that puts all this stuff together. They've done it before. And it's their, and I forget the zoning stuff with Grand Sierra, but they own that, that property, that land, that everything, that the street that goes through. And so I just, if, like I said, to, be cognizant of the different opinions of we want to keep it, we don't want to keep it, just an option. So, and if there's any other options, I don't mind exploring. I raise my hand. So.
And I think that, we have to look at the load on the district, the load on the various departments, the load on the in-kind. But if another organization or company, GSR, took it on, and did the whole thing, they'd have to explore how to take registrations. There's some stuff that happens internally that we'd have to let go. They would have to figure out how to take registrations, whether it's online or it's only online or what. And, again, we've thought about digitizing registrations in a different way, like having families just go online and pay for it that way, and then they sign off on it. Because trust me, we handle every single registration form, if not once, more than once. That means we're handling it. They're cross-checking it against Infinite Campus or T-shirts. I mean, it's huge. So then if another organization or company took it on, all the more power. But I'm thinking maybe, we give that to them, or we have an agreement of some sort. I know that at one point, Michelle, and you have institutional history, there was a point at which Renown, I think, was going to take on the run and put it on as a company, but it was before my time, so maybe I'm wrong. No, not that you recall.
No, I mean, aspects of it. Aspects of it, but not take it on. We don't have the manpower to do that either. So I'm agreeing with what everybody has said, and I do think you can only do with what you can do with the resources. So from that perspective, between your resources and the fact that the principals really don't have time, we don't need to put anything more on the principal's plate that's going to frustrate them. We need them. So I would agree that you table it for now and figure out. And I think leveraging the partners in education would be huge. So if PE equipment is important, I know years ago we went out as board members and interviewed all the principals. What do you want? What do you need? And we did all this, and their needs are all very, very different. But if in fact the elementary schools need PE, that partner in education goes out and gets basketballs or whatever it is that the schools need. So there's probably different ways to accomplish it. But with two people trying to do that lift, I just like the idea of a community event. So.
We like it too. It makes us cry when I see the kids running through with their tutus and their parents going, yay. But Phil, you said there's an opportunity for more school-specific support, and that I think is probably, and we're about to launch a website called Pinpoint, a Partner School. We haven't showed you it yet because it's still under development, but it's the super coolest thing where you can, every single school, and again, it won't be successful unless principals and their teams identify what things they need. And they can check it off, and it's uploaded to a website that anyone, whether you're mom and pop, an individual, a family, can be a partner in ed and look and see exactly what a school needs, exactly who their partners are, what kind of school it is, if it's a Title I or if it's a signature academy or if it's a special walk-up school. They don't, there are no buses or whatever, and it's really cool. I'm really excited about this website, and it's been under development for many years because of many reasons, and I think that's the way to identify so that every school can identify exactly what they need, and then we can go out and find partners for that and raise money for those common things, and perhaps we have a pool of funding that's just for, because we know that schools have similar needs, and it's a list of maybe 10, I think, on that list of needs, and it's staff support and outdoor equipment and so forth and so on.
I was just going to say one other thing, and maybe we've already done this, but have you guys connected with Mike Kazmierski and his group at EDON that when they get I think you were mentioning new businesses, that part of that new business checklist is a partner in education when you come here, and immediately hook them there?
We have tried, yes. We have tried. We have better luck with the chamber at this point.
There's no reason for them to not do that.
Right. Well, and if we pinpointed partner school, I've been asked to send that webpage to them. So I would hope that would be a simpler way for each company to plug in.
So I'm going to be the buzzkill on the discussion and the innovation that I'm hearing, and just note the clock. So my apologies, because I hate to stifle good conversation and creative conversation. But if I can briefly summarize, what I'm hearing is maybe a leaning towards an alternative, at least for this year. It's not quite settled. We still very much have heartstrings to the run for education, particularly the community aspect of it and the PR aspect of it. So I'm going to kind of go back to something I heard from Dave about, where I don't think it's settled here at this larger body. So some kind of smaller group to really focus on this issue and come up with something a little bit more tangible, because in terms of fundraising, we need to get going on something, right? If it is going to be some version of the run this year. So Eric, was that along the lines of your motion, or were you going something different, or?
That button. Gotcha. So, anyway, yeah, it is exactly along those lines, but looking at my notes here real quick. considering the limited resources that we have right now, and the school has, in particular, like bus drivers, and I went to Rita Cannon. I love seeing the kids that are there, but, if your parents aren't bringing you, you got to have a bus to get you there. And that's tough right now. So I think we need to look at something for this year. And I love Dave's idea. So I would suggest this motion, or I'll make this motion. Education Alliance will explore fundraising alternatives to the 2022 Run for Education to more equitably and efficiently serve the most current, timely, and targeted needs of the Washoe County School District students, schools, and educators. So basically the idea would be, have an exploration team and then have as many board members as possible participate in that, set up what works for them, and then develop tangibles, smart ideas, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, timely points, and then with that have the group make that recommendation for our exec board prior to our next board meeting. So that would be May 19th. And then the exec board could make that full recommendation then actually at that June 6th meeting. So that's a long motion.
I second that.
Landon, did you get all that?
No.
If I could paraphrase, Eric, your motion is essentially to put together a smaller team to look at alternatives for this year, and then report back to the exec group.
Yeah.
Who will then report back to the full board.
Full board, yeah. And also I'm going to add another thing. I love what Lauren said on the talking to GSR.
I'll do it.
Do we have a second?
Yeah,
For
Phil.
that? Phil.
Kaiser.
Thank you. Okay. I think we've had some pretty exhaustive discussion. So before calling the question, I'll ask if we have any public comment. Brittany, any in the email? Okay, great. Thank you, Kathleen. Okay, I guess we'll go ahead and take the vote on the motion to form the smaller task force, paraphrasing and condensing yet again. Landon, you have that?
Yeah, so this is what we're going for here is that the Education Alliance will explore fundraising alternatives for the 2022 Run for Education to more equitably and efficiently serve the most current, timely, as well as targeted needs of the Washoe County School District students, schools, and educators. Boom.
Wow.
Boom.
Is it going to say boom at the end?
And it will say boom at the end.
Well, then now we can vote. All right. I guess all those in favor.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Motion passes. Thank you, guys. We've had a great discussion. I really invite all of you, or those of you that can, to participate on this task force. Even if you're not on the task force, funnel your thoughts and ideas to the smaller group that'll be working. And I know we've got a really great team here. I'm sure we can come up with something spectacular for this year. So thanks, everyone. Great discussion there. I am going to go ahead and table 2.06, presentation, discussion, and updates on the structure, programs, and working groups of the Ed Alliance. This is kind of our catch-all agenda item, for any kind of announcements or updates from the groups, unless we have something that is absolutely burning and needs to be shared. P16 or anyone?
I do want to say something
All
real
right.
quick. So we are scheduled to have Dr. Donald Easton Brooks on the 27th meeting at 4 p.m. So if you guys can participate in that. April
27, right?
Yeah. So actually,
They reserved the room, I think.
Don't mind me.
At the Innovation Center.
okay. So anyway, just noting that. And we also had a great discussion on the February 23rd from Joe Ernst and Laura Davidson. So anyway, that's all. Thank you.
And Eric, what was the time on the 27th? 4? 4, thanks. All right. Any other from the working groups? Fantastic. And again, I'm sorry to cut that one a little bit short. Our next item here is just public comment. Do we have any public comment, Kathleen? All right. Our next full board meeting then will be June 6th. Always a fun one. When we welcome in the new members, when we pass the torch to other members, and in addition to the business we conduct, just celebrate a little bit. So I look forward again to seeing everybody on the 6th and hearing back from our task force and exec team on our goings forward for fundraising in 22.
Our June 6th is scheduled for the Reno Sparks Chamber. So thank you, Christine, for hosting us. I don't know if she's still with us, but it is our opportunity to welcome new board members, new officers, celebrate the terming out members, have a little wine and cheese, and it'll be live. And I will send an email out to put everybody's name on the list for the exploration team.
All right. Well, with that, we will go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thanks so much. Oh, I got to do the gavel. I always forget the gavel. It seems so silly.
Amazing.